could it be that God always was? Doesn't matter. Again, was is faculties of time. God is not involved in time. God is not limited by time. That's it. When we're saying that God created, it means that God created something out of nothing. That is the definition of creating. Creating means to create out of nothing. Okay? Boré. That's what it means. You brought it into existence, right? This is why we also describe God as a creator. Now, we also say we create. But in human terms, there's a lack in our creation. In human terms, creating means you give something either a new purpose or you make something new out of something that already existed. But we don't create in the terms of God. In the terms of God, creating means it is brought out of nothing, okay? Now, by the way, the Big Bang also had to agree to this at some point, because what does the Big Bang says, which is the most accepted theory of how the world was created? It pretty much says that all of matter was contained in a little ball of matter, whatever you want to call it, and then one day it went bang, and this is the world. Yes? That's so interesting. But then science itself is not following its rules, because what does the rule of science says? Matter is not created or destroyed, but rather just transformed. So the big question, Mr. Science, is if matter is not created or destroyed, and all of the matter of the world is contained in that little dot, how did it just went boom? You know, if I leave this chocolate here, which I will not, and I will eat it, okay? And there's no outside force. There's no wind. There's no anything. This table is not like this. Would this chocolate ever move from its place? Of course not, right? But now, science, how do you explain the fact that this thing made boom before all of the matter of the world is contained in it and it cannot just create new matter? So you would have to say that there was something outside that pushed it. But what could have been outside if everything was inside? Maybe something that is not matter. That makes sense. Oh, that's good. Because I just told you in principle number 3 that God is no matter, no form, no anything. So really, science is not really making that mistake. The one mistake they're making is they don't realize that there is a one thing that has no matter and form, and that's called God. So you could say all of that matter and form was contained in that circle, and then it exploded. By the way, if you ever notice in the Torah, you should really read into it, you would actually be in shock. Do we have a Bereshit here? There's actually a source for the Big Bang, sort of, in the Torah. And actually, we see this. If you ever look into a Torah, the first pasuk says, in the beginning, God created. So what am I telling you that it means that God created? It means God created something out of nothing. Yes? God created heaven and earth. And then he describes how heaven and earth look like. And it says, V'haaretz, second pasuk, V'haaretz hayta tohu v'avochu v'choshech al penei tehom. And the earth or the world or whatever thing he created was just a big mess. Yes? The Rambam says, check this out, what is tohu and vohu? Yeah, what is that? Vohu, tohu, whatever you want. The Ramban, not Maimonides, Nachmanides says, this is matter and form. Yes? What are we saying? When God created, he created all matter and form. This is why everything was a mess in the Torah. Everything was just there. The whole thing was created on the first day. Why? Because it makes sense. From the moment God created something that is not him, if you want to call it that way, it already gives birth to everything outside of God. Now, obviously, there's nothing outside of God. Everything was made by God. But in our terms, we said God contracted. From the moment God made, now there's an option for everything to exist. Yes? Does this make sense? The moment I make, there's an option for everything to exist. Now, the Ramban says that the first thing that God created was actually matter and form. Okay? The whole world was a mess. Everything was just in its place. Now, listen to how interesting, right? I'm telling you that the word that denotes creating from zero is which one? Bara. Check this out. So interesting. I love the Torah. The only time that the Torah ever uses the word bara is when the first day, when God created Tohu Vavohu. Afterwards, it never uses the word bara, because God really created everything on the first time, right? Why? We also need this for ourselves, but you'll see this later. If God would have keep on creating lots of other things, then you would be able to think that at any point God creates something else. God says, no, the moment I create, what I create already is. I'm not creating more. Because if I create more, then you could also use it in order to deny lots of things in the future, right? You could just say, oh, but God created this and God created that. No, when God created, he created anything that could be. He created, if you want to call it, possibility. That's what we call in English matter and form. Possibility. Anything to be, he created. Check this out. It says God created heaven and earth, right? Now, what was the first thing that God put in the world? Order. Yes? Light. If you look into Pasuk 3, it says, Vayomer Elohim, and God said, Yehi order. Let there be light. It doesn't say created or. It says, Yehi. Let there be. Meaning, you have all of this matter and form. Let this take the shape into light. Second thing, right? Yehi Raquel, let there be heaven. Yehi Ikavu, gather the waters, right? He never says created again. Because God never created. You know when it's the only one time it says created? Guess which one? By human being. Because you're that creation. Because God wanted you to know everything was created here for you, but by you, he just made you special. You're the masterpiece, right? Whenever I'm already using every color I have. But no, you're unique. I didn't just use materials. Now, for you, I created you out of zero. I created you out of the earth. God created you out of the earth. But it was a whole new masterpiece that God did. So in the Torah, we see there's this idea of, right, God made everything, and then everything just went into its place. It's as if God made this magic, and then every day he was setting things in the place that there would be until they finally were. By the way, if you understand this, then not only do you understand the Big Bang, but you will also probably understand time and all of these things, because now it really does make sense. This is a famous rabbi, Dr. Schroeder. You could read all of his books. Anyways, if you really follow science, then you shouldn't read his books, because science is changing all of what they believe right now, so it doesn't really matter. But the problem is when you try to make it that the Torah should fit science. Torah doesn't fit science. Torah was first. Science has to fit Torah. But if you ever think about this, right, if everything that was created just was, and then God just started putting it into its place, how would it look like in a drawing? Everything is, and then puts. Doesn't it look like the Big Bang? That's exactly a thing. But now think about this again, okay? Everything that is here was also here, yes? What is the difference? Think about this. Here it is just that much more expanded, yes? You know what it makes it? A minute here is still a minute here. But a minute here lasts much less time. Because here the minute is expanded. So a lot of people say, no, science and Torah cannot work together. Why? Why not? Because the science says that the world has, I don't know how many millions of years, and the Torah has less years. First of all, one very important thing that you should know, God did not create everything with one day of creation. Meaning when God made a chicken, he was already a full-born chicken. When God made man, he also made an egg, but he also made, when God made man, he already made a full-born man, yes? What, so God couldn't make trees that were already 4,000 years old, 5 million years old? I never get it when people use this as a way of saying that God didn't exist. Well, God could make trees that were 5 million years old. God can also make fossils that were 5 million years old. You know, God can also make fossils out of something that never existed. Wait, and we'll talk about this later. I'll go into it and put them into a ground. I'm just saying. God made heaven and earth. He could make fossils. Fossils, whatever you want to call it. Do you say fossils or fossils? Fossils. Why do you always make fun of me? You see, this is why you should all be Spanish. It's the only language and accent in the world that could be understood by all types of English. How do you say schedule or schedule? If you're Spanish, you just say it in the middle, so it works well, right? But wait, I'm not going to explain this yet, but Rachel, I'm just asking this. Can God make it that a tree has 5 million years from the moment he created, yes or no? Sure. Yes. Can God just create fossils in the ground? Yes. Can the fossils that God create not belong to anyone that pre-existed, but just be fossils? Yes or no? Sure. God can make anything. Why? I'm going to explain this later. Why? I am going to explain this later. But one thing that everyone says is, science and Torah, no, because science says the world has 5 million years. Who says this cannot work? First of all, right, there's a famous pasuk in Tehillim that says, because one day in your life, talking about God, it's 1,000 years in the life of man, right? Let me prove this to you, okay? God said that after Adam would eat from the tree, he would die, yes? Did he die right away? No, he kept on living. What happened, God? You lied? So God says you're going to die after the day. How much does a day of God last? 1,000 years, yes? You know how many years Adam was going to live? 1,000. But then he saw through prophecy with God that there was going to be a very beautiful fetus called David HaMelech that wasn't going to make, this is a famous midrash, that wasn't going to make it into our world. Binyamin is running because he knows. And therefore he said, God, you're not going to let him live? Let me give him 70 years, right? This is why Adam wrote Tov Leodot Lashem, and then David wrote it. Why did David wrote it? David is thanking Adam that I exist because of you. This is why, by the way, in Adam, I don't know if you know this, but you have, what is Adam? Adam, David, Mashiach. Because of Adam, David exists. Because of David, Mashiach exists. Adam gave him 70 years. But now question, if he wouldn't have given him 70 years, how many years would he have lived? 1,000. That's a day of God. God didn't lie. I said a day. I didn't tell you what day, but a day. So first of all, from here we see that apparently, right, the first 6 days of creation are not really days. Apparently they mean 6,000 years, right? Apparently, at least 6,000 years, which by the way, you know what? It really makes sense. Because if you follow the Torah says that Mashiach is going to come on Shabbat, right? I mean, the latest time Mashiach has to come, if you don't do Teshuvah, is on Shabbat. We know that the 3 hours that Adam had left in order to eat became 6,000 years, because Adam represented all of humanity, the creation represents all of the history of the world. Creation was 6 days, the world lasts for 6,000 years. If Adam would have lasted 3 more hours, then we would have gone into a world to come. And therefore expand that, how much time does humanity has to bring Mashiach? The time of creation, that 6 days, equal to us, 6,000. If Mashiach doesn't come by 6,000, then he's coming anyways. Because God anyway said Shabbat is coming. God anyway said Mashiach is coming. You hear this? By the way, the Torah has exactly 6,000 pesukim sort of thing. Right? I mean, I haven't counted it. Because each pasuk is equal to a year, because that's the whole purpose of creation. Right? This is really how it works. It was just expanded. So now, question. From here, is this simple? Do we see that the world is really around for much more than we're saying? Yes. Now, take it further. According to science, if all of the world was contained in here, isn't this just the same as this, only that it's more expanded? So, and this is, you could read Dr. Schroeder, a minute here, it's a minute here. But a minute here, in proportion, lasts 1 second, and here lasts 10 minutes. So if you keep on expanding the world and the time, who says you cannot reach the same amount of time that science says it is? Who says not? You just have to learn the equation of how it expanded per time, or whatever you want to call it, and then you could do it, right? Does a minute in space last the same as a minute in Earth? No, for sure not. Why? Because space is closer, no? Yes? Why doesn't it last the same, but it's still a minute, but it doesn't last the same because it's less expanded, or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know all of this mathematics. And I don't really care about all of I mean, I love mathematics, but I'm saying I don't really care how old the world is. The point is not how old the world is. The point is there space for the science to fit with the Torah? Again, not Torah to fit with science, but science to fit with the Torah. There's for sure space. You cannot really know how long the world is. Because you know God, it doesn't matter how many tools you have, you're not able to say. But if the science wants to say it's 5 million years, why not? Who says no? You know, it could be, right? That shouldn't make me deny God, because I could see that time is not the same thing, right? In the same way, animals used to be much bigger. Animals are now much more smaller. So we see things that change. Or people say, oh, maybe God didn't create. What about the dinosaurs? You know, I'm not going to go into dinosaurs yet, but, I'm going to go. You should just know that dinosaurs are actually the only animals actually mentioned by name in the Torah that were created. You know, they're called Taninim Agdolim, right? The big water animals, the big physical animals. There's a bunch of Gemarot that speak about dinosaurs. There's a famous Gemara that says that there was once a rabbi that was going on a canoe, and he landed on a little island, and then the island started to move, so he thought it was an earthquake. But no, he was on top of the back of the dinosaur, right? There's another Gemara, there's another Midrash about this guy that was, you know, a hero called Benayahu Ben Yehoyada. He killed an... We have in the Torah all of the time. If people used to be giants, do we believe in proportion, wouldn't the animals also be giants? Yes. By the way, could it be that God created the fossils of the dinosaurs without the dinosaurs existed? Yes. Could it be that dinosaurs really existed, but they lost size? By the way, how can Steven Spielberg make a movie about dinosaurs if we wouldn't have an image for dinosaurs? You know what I'm talking about? He obviously got the image of how dinosaurs should have looked from somewhere. Where did he get it from? Because some lizards and reptiles look like dinosaurs. You check it out. You know, there's a pterodactyl, he looked like Batman, right? There's another one, he looked like... You have to have an image from somewhere. You can't just make up the dinosaurs whatever way you want. Now, it could be that they were bigger and then they got smaller. It could be they were bigger, but because... It could be that they just ceased existing. It could be tons of things. Do I use any of these things to say God exists or not exists? No, until I have a definite information, which I won't have, because I didn't live 1,000 million years ago. So how am I going to know what happened then? Oh, because of what I see in the ground? Like, for real. You know, what I see in the ground. So what if I see it in the ground? That could be telling millions of stories. You understand? You don't know what the story the ground is telling. If you were not there, you cannot really say what happened. How do you know that your grandmother really liked to eat chocolate? There must have been someone that was there that is telling you. And you know for sure. So I am not saying whether they were or they were not, because I don't know. But that really doesn't change my life. Because the fact that they were or they were not doesn't mean that God is or is not. It's not changing anything for me, because there are millions of options that could happen at any moment. And whoever uses this in order to deny God, sorry to say this, but they're just really using it in order to do whatever they want. It's a very, very big excuse. And I'll continue with this next time, because I'm going to go into all of these things. But again, you can't have the world without God. That makes sense for sure. You have to say that God always was, and God had to have been created. Why is it so important to know that God created the world from nothing? I'll tell you next time. Great. Any questions?